Yo, what is up guys? So in today's video I'm gonna be making a tier list and ranking the best and worst legends to use in ranked arena for season 14. Now I did make one for season 13, but I thought that there was a lot of meta changes, a lot of buffs and nerfs that we should probably talk about. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. And I do put a lot of effort in my video, so it would be greatly appreciated if you guys could like and sub and, you know, show some support to this video. Alright, so in F tier. So F tier legends are going to be legends that are just really bad. And I would just recommend staying away from this legend. Don't try using him at all, because he just doesn't provide anything to the team and he needs an extreme rework. So the only legend in the F tier is going to be Caustic. Now the reason why Caustic is an F tier, I did put him in F tier in the season 13 tier list, but the main reason is that because he's a defensive character. And defensive characters don't really work well in an aggressive game mode like ranked arenas, and how you kind of need mobility in a character, no matter what character it is, defensive, aggressive. If you don't have mobility, I feel like it's not a good character. And Caustic is just a character with no mobility. His hitbox is really big, making you be able to get focused a lot. And I feel like his abilities can also not be used in a lot of scenarios because it is an open map a lot of the time, and Caustic is good for holding down houses in like small areas. So I guess the only map that he'd be good at is probably drop off, and that's why he goes in F tier. He just doesn't provide much to the team. His abilities are expensive, and yeah. Alright, so next up is D tier. Now, D tier legends are legends that, you know, are pretty bad, but there are some exceptions. They're not the worst. It's not like you should never use these legends, but I still do not recommend using these legends. Now, first up in D tier is going to be Mirage. Now, Mirage, I thought he was a pretty underrated character. I thought he was, like, not the worst. I thought of putting him in C tier maybe, but I think he belongs in D tier just because his abilities are so expensive, and he's such a self-centered legend. Now, you might be saying, oh, his passive can work as a team ability because you can res with the invis, but I feel like Lifeline and Newcastle just do it better, because invis res, yeah, it might be good, but there is still audio for the res. You can still hear where the res is happening, and in addition to that, you're gonna have to buy gold bag, which is true for every character, but Mirage also has to buy his Mirage ult to be good, and without his ult, I feel like Mirage is even worse. So the fact that you have to buy his ult for him to be good is kind of bad, because as soon as you use the ult, you're just a really bad character with like almost no abilities at all. And his ult's also really expensive. I think it costs like 350 crafting, which is really expensive, and it's hard to buy in those early rounds, which are really essential in ranked arenas. Alright, so next up is going to be a Revenant. Now, I have not really used Revenant that much, but I feel like his silence can be used in specific scenarios. I think the silence is actually pretty good in drop off, where you're entering the door and you can throw the silence on the door so that wherever you go in, you get hit for like 10 and you can't use your abilities at all, which definitely is a good a tactical. I think Revenant's tactical can definitely be good, but I feel like the parts that aren't really good about him is his passive. His passive is basically useless in ranked arenas. Like, being able to climb high is like, it's kind of useless at all. Being able to crouch walk fast, this could be good for getting flanks, and I do think that's a pretty good ability, but like, is that good enough to get him in the next tier, like C tier? Does he provide much to the team? No. His ult is really expensive too. You have to get it, I think, every 2 rounds, which is also really it's not the best, having to get an ult that's every 2 rounds. And in addition to that, I feel like you need a lot of coordination, and it's really easy to counter Revenant without a mobility character like Horizon or Octane. And even with that, it's easy to hit someone from the air, and you have to use it effectively. I feel like a lot of people don't know how to actually use Revenant's totem, and just in general, his hitbox is also really big too. That's also one of the main reasons why he does belong in the D tier. Alright, so next up is going to be Ashe. Now, Ashe is just, I think she's an overall weak legend in arenas. Her tactical is really expensive. I think it's like 200, and having a tactical that, you know, tethers the enemy, but is it worth 200 crafting? No, definitely not. I'd rather get a battery or upgrade my weapon. Her ult can only be used in specific scenarios, and I feel like just other mobility characters just do it better. Having an ult to get your, like, it's like the same as a Pathfinder grapple or an Octane stim, but you have to buy it as an ult. I feel like that's really weak too. Her passive is completely useless in arenas, and that's just why she belongs in D tier. She just doesn't provide much for the team. Other characters do it better. Alright, so next up is Fuse in D tier. Now, Fuse, I think one of the maps that Fuse is good at is going to be drop off, where you can throw the knuckle clusters in the little room. That can be effective, but like I feel like you would rather have an Octane or a Mad Maggie on your team to get the inside first, because the whole point of fighting in drop off is getting the inside of the room, and Fuse doesn't do that at all. Even in other maps, like his knuckle cluster, yeah, if you stick someone you can do 20 damage, but so can like many other legends if you just use your gun instead of throwing your knuckle cluster. Getting extra nades is okay. Like having 6 frags is better than having 3 frags. And if you can hit your frags, that's really good. But is he a team character? Does he provide to the team? Can you, unless you hit all of your frags, his kit is basically useless. And I feel like his ult's also really bad. His ult needs a rework, because you're basically going to be using legends that have mobility, right? In ranked arenas, the characters that have mobility are going to be the best. So you're going to be able to escape the Fuse ult really easily, which is just such a huge waste. And in general, he just doesn't provide much for the team. Is just not good at all because of his abilities, and yeah. Alright, so in the C tier now, C tier legends are gonna be, you know, not the worst legends, they're not worse. They can definitely be used in some scenarios, but they are like pretty mid, and yeah. So the first legend in C tier is going to be Crypto. Now Crypto is actually like not a bad legend, but I feel like a lot of people do not know how to use Crypto. People just use Crypto because they feel like going in their drone and scanning people when you're so far from your team is useful. And I feel like that's completely untrue. In arenas, having one guy on the drone just controlling the drone scanning is kind of a huge waste, because one, getting angles is important in arenas. That's why having a character with mobility getting angles is really important. And if your third character is just on a drone, that only provides information, and information can only get you so much. I feel like his ult is also, it's expensive. Not only that, it's hard to push off a Crypto ult, because I think Crypto's ult is good, but it's just really difficult to push off it because you need to be coordinated. And without his drone, he's completely useless. He basically has no passive. And I feel like he's better off in BR than he is in arenas because of how passive his kit is. Next up in C tier is going to be Rampart. Now, Rampart shields do provide some cover, and they have definitely improved over the past, and that's why I'm putting her in C tier. I think I did put her in D tier in the last tier list, but she has definitely improved from that. Her passive is good because LMGs have a big meta, especially when you're using the Devo or the Spitfire. Those both are definitely good guns, and with Rampart it becomes even better. I feel like her ult's also really good. I saw someone basically just bunny hopping while shooting, so you have movement while shooting. You can also combine this with tap strafing to make it even more OP. Rampart can be used if used well. She can definitely be a good character, but I feel like most people do not know how to use her well, and her walls, they can only get you so much because she obviously has a passive defensive playstyle, and you can play her aggressively, but I feel like just most people cannot do that, and that's why she belongs in the C tier. Alright, so next up is Wattson. Now, Wattson's actually improved over the past season. So I feel like her ult. So her ult's really good on the map. Party Crasher on the bigger ship side. On the like where the yellow ship is. I feel like in that area her ult can come in really handy because frags are a big thing in Party Crasher, and if you can place your ult, not only do you get healed when you're peeking, it can like protect you from nades, ults, etc. I feel like that's also really beneficial. Even in drop off, you can use it to get rid of nades. You can close off doors, outplay people through doors. I feel like that's really fun, and it's really strong. And she is a defensive character, and it's hard to play her aggressively unless you're really talented with the player or with the character. So that's why she belongs in C tier. Alright, so next up is B tier. Now, B tier legends are legends that are going to be pretty good. They're not the worst, they're not the best, they're good, but they can be improved. And first up in B tier is going to be Loba. Now, Loba's actually a pretty good character in terms of movement. Her basic provides her with a lot of abilities like Pathfinder to get to the bin early, get to the crafting early, and I feel like Loba is kind of similar to Pathfinder, but still feel like Pathfinder is better because you can do a lot of good plays with her with his grapple, and her ult can provide a lot of heals like in a lot of maps. If you go to the center of the map, you're going to be able to get. Alright, so next up in B tier is going to be Euriece. Now, I would have put this character higher, but I feel like she's a very self-centered character, doesn't provide much for the team. The phase can be good to bait people, so one thing I like to do is play really aggressive with Wraith, like go under their building or under their high ground and wait for them to drop on you. When they drop on you, you phase out, and it can basically just waste their time and for them to go under while your team can push up front. Wraith is a very good bait character with her portal, being able to get really good angles, etc, etc, but Pathfinder and other characters can do the same thing, and I feel like they can do it better. And Wraith she used to be really good in BR. I think she is good in BR, but just not really that good. Other characters just overwhelm her, and her portal and abilities are really cheap, and that's why she is in B tier, because she's not the worst character, but she's not good either, and that's why she's in the middle. Alright, so next up is going to be Valk. Now, Valk is a good legend to get height. So in Party Crasher, she's going to be good because you can get from the ship to under the ship. The mobility is really good, getting height and low ground really easily. I feel like that's important in terms of positioning. Her tactical did get nerfed. It still does 25 damage, and you can definitely push off the stun, which a lot of people like to do. They throw their tactical and then they stun them and then they insta push. That's also a very effective plan. It is a bit costly, and that's why she is in B tier, just because her kit doesn't provide much for her team. And the ult's also actually really good. It's like a mini octane jump pad, and you can use it in Party Crasher once again, but most maps it doesn't really work, and her ult's A tier legends are going to be really, really good. I recommend you use these characters. Using these characters are going to help you win games. And first up in A tier, I'm going to put these two together because I feel like they're really similar. It's going to be Lifeline and Newcastle. They both do the same thing. They both provide you with good reses. Newcastle, you might say that it is a better Lifeline, but I still feel like Lifeline can be really effective because you don't have to be in the res. You can shoot and cover your teammates while being in the res, while Newcastle provides the shield, which I think is a similar thing, like you shooting and having the revive shield. It's gonna be I think it's basically the same thing, but Newcastle is definitely a good legend. Lifeline is too. Buying that gold bag is gonna have you to buy weaker guns, but I feel like it does cover up for it, because having a clutch gold bag res can win you the round. Alright, so next up is Bangalore. Now, I feel like Bangalore is a really good legend because it can cover angles like Pathfinder. So, if Pathfinder gets an angle on the right side, you throw her smoke on the right side, it completely ruins that angle. So, I feel like she's good for controlling the game. She's good at controlling certain angles so she can get the advantage. And especially because Mozam meta and like hammer point meta is a huge thing. Being able to buy the Digithread and being able to shoot through smokes is going to be good. You're going to want to buy SMGs with Bang because you can shoot through the smoke. Her ult can also be used really well to get people off and out of cover, but I feel like the bangle is kind of hard to push off of because you throw the bangle, right? But then you also get stunned and hurt by your own ult, which is going to be detrimental to your team because your team is still going to also get stunned. So I feel like her ult can be improved. The passive is also nice. I like being able to have a little bit of speed when you're getting chased at or when you need to go to an angle. I feel like that's also really nice. Alright, and we have Bloodhound next. I feel like Bloodhound is probably one of the best recon characters, if not the best, to get intel on the game. So, when at the start of the round, you're able to scan. If you know it's 2, you're able to push off that intel because you know it's 2 people. You know it's a 3v2 scenario. You can push off it. Having his Bloodhound ult's going to be so important because you can play so aggressive with the Bloodhound ult. You know, because you're faster, it's like having the Bangalore passive, but for 30 seconds, constantly, you're going to be moving around, having a faster strafe speed, having a Digithread on you at all times basically because you can see through smokes. It's all enemies are highlighted in red, giving you a huge advantage, giving you 2 extra scans. That's basically 6 seconds of wall hacks. You scan, you know where people are for 3 seconds each scan. It's just really, really nice to be able to get people out of their cover because you know when you get scanned, I feel like it's really intimidating because they know where they know where you are, but you don't know where they are, and which is really scary. And I feel like Bloodhound ult can be really good. And one thing I like to do with Bloodhound is save up crafting so you can get ult every 2 rounds. Because if you can afford to get the ult from the 2nd round or from the 4th round, if you buy it every 2 rounds, it's kind of a waste. You need to buy it every 2 rounds. That's why you need to be saving up on crafting. I feel like that's why Bloodhound goes in A tier. Alright, next up, or the lastly in A tier, is going to be Gibby. Now, Gibby is, I think, overall a really good character. When your teammates are low, you can throw a bubble on them and be able to save them from any nades or even the enemy shooting at them. Gold bag reses with the dome shield is really, really clutch. Like, unless they're really close to you, if they do kill you from afar, like in Phase Runner, like across the bridge, you can just throw your dome, gold bag res, and get instantly back. And I feel like his dome is like a escape from jail free card. You're able to simply just throw your dome, res, or if you need a reset if you're low, throw your dome, pop a battery, and I feel like Gibby's just overall good because of that. His abilities are really expensive, and that's one bad thing about him, but I think his hitbox is big, but you have the gun shield to make up for it. The ult can definitely be good to get people in and out of cover, like for example in Party Crasher, you can throw your ult, get them up the height, make them go to high low ground, and get them up height, which is going to be really beneficial for your team, and that's why he overall goes to A tier, provides a lot for his team, and can save his team in certain scenarios where you are in a bit of trouble. So next up is S tier legends. Now S tier legends are the best legends to use in ranked arenas, and I feel like you should always have one of these legends in your team comp. So first up is Horizon. Now Horizon is just the overall really good character, one of the best, if not the best in my opinion. Her passive can be used really well to get extra movement, like especially a controller. It's hard to get some good movement, but with Horizon I feel like you can do a lot of strafes, like somewhat close to even a tap strafe. I feel like Horizon's passive is the closest you can get to a tap strafe on controller. Having the Q. So with the Q, you can basically shoot people through the Q by queuing up, getting the high ground, or you can throw your Q up to pop a battery. You can throw it to bait enemies to try to look at the Q while you go from the other side. That's called a bait Q. That's one of the strats I usually do with Horizon, where you throw the Q down and you don't actually go on the Q, you just go from a different angle. That's also really effective, and I feel like her ult's a bit expensive because you have to buy the ult and the nades. That's why I don't really find myself getting the black hole a lot, but the black hole can be used in specific scenarios, and I feel like it can also be really good for your team. Next up in the S tier is going to be Mad Maggie. Now Mad Maggie I think is one of the best characters in the game because of her passive and everything about her kit. So the passive is going to be good for getting the Mozam and shotguns in general, because you're going to be able to strafe really fast, move really fast with shotguns. It's going to be really smooth, especially in drop off, because shotguns are really good in drop off because it's a really close range map. Using it with Mozam is going to be broken. I feel like the tactical is really good to get people off of cover. Like when they're low and they're healing in cover, throw your Q down and throw your tactical, get them off the cover. And her ball, I feel like her ball is also really good. It got buffed, and just throwing the ball at the enemy straight up, throw the ball at the enemy, stun them, and even if they do crack you when they are shooting at you while you throw the ball, you can still stun them and easily like 4-tap them with your Mozam. It's just really broken, and it's really annoying to face against Maggie, and that's why she belongs in the S tier. Alright, next up in the S tier is going to be Pathfinder. Now, I don't really need to explain why Pathfinder is so good. His grapple is the best ability in the game. Grappling on trees, grappling on objects, getting different angles is going to be the most important thing in ranked arenas, and Pathfinder does that. In certain maps, you need to get angles, like in Habitat. I made a video about that. Be sure to check that out because it does explain a lot about Habitat, but he's the best character to get angles. There's nothing really much to say. His ult is really cheap too. It's like a mini jump pad to get his team from one area to the other, and it's overall just a really good team character. Alright, in S tier, it's going to be Octane. So Octane's a really good character because he's going to be able to get mats, and mats are going to be really important. I feel like Octane is the only character that can get to the mats early, except for the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder can, but the Pathfinder should probably go to the bin and hold the head glitch on the bin. So Octane's probably the only character that can get to the crafting fast, and that's why he's one of the best characters. His stim is really cheap. His passive can come in handy by giving you that health regeneration. His ult can be good in maps like Party Crasher, where you can literally just jump out to the other side, throw a bunch of nades and just ape them. Definitely the better Pathfinder zipline, and that's why he just goes in S tier. And last up in S tier is going to be Seer. Now, Seer is by far one of the most broken characters both in BR and arenas, but Seer is really good because you can know where the enemies are, obviously, with his passive. If you know if one's on the left, one's alone on the left, you can ape the guy on the left, or if one's alone on the right, you can ape someone on the right. His intel is incredible. His scan is going to be important when you do make someone low, so if you do make someone low, throw your tactical at them as soon as they're trying to pop a bat, and you can basically just ape them with your Octane jump pad, your Pathfinder grapple, anything like that. The Serial, I think, is one of the most broken abilities and probably one of the best abilities in my opinion, because having the Serial gives you so much information for 60 seconds. You know where everyone is for such a long amount of time, and I do recommend saving up your crafting so you can get the Serial whenever you can, because the Serial can win you rounds, and when I say win you rounds, it does win you rounds, and the amount of intel Serial can give is so incredible, and that's why he belongs in S tier. So if y'all did enjoy this video, be sure to press that like button and subscribe. I did put a lot of effort in this video. It would mean the world to me if you guys could press that like button and subscribe. But yeah, this is the end of the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.